Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action live here once again for the penultimate round of the GT4 Championship. We are getting to the end of the season. It is coming down to this. It is crunch time, and so far, from what I can see, we have not got any Kieran O'Reilly at this stage. No, so no Kieran O'Reilly this evening. So championship, no, sorry, that was for the pros. GT4 event list. We should have O'Reilly. No, we don't have O'Reilly. So, this could put a spanner in the works. We have a championship up for grabs here, as O'Reilly not being able to score points. So obviously, this is going to be his drop score for the GT4s. But this is a great opportunity for Tordok to try and get some money back in this championship and try and hunt down the championship leader. But nonetheless, we are here at Watkins Glen for the next round of the championship season, the penultimate round of the season. And as you can see, we've just gone into greasy conditions. The track and the weather is a little bit unpredictable for the GT4s this week. We have got rain around. We've got rain lurking around and ready to cause chaos. But let's hear you guys in the chat. Let's hear from you guys who is in the chat. Then we've got Gary Clarble and we've got PN Motorsport as well. Nice to see you guys all in the chat. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Who else currently on the track? Tordok's getting some laps in. Sil's back in pit lane. We'll go on board with Vesti for a minute. But this is how the championship is looking at this stage. Coming into the final race. I don't know why I closed this down. I did have it open. So going into the championship, final few races, Kieran O'Reilly is leading the way with 781 points to his name, 133 ahead of Tordok, but obviously points are now still available for Tordok and no O'Reilly tonight. This could be a good opportunity. If he scores maximum points tonight, he can bring that gap down and take it to Donington Park. But there are still a few drivers still in this championship. You've still got Sylph, Clouden and Friedman all still up for the grabs. But Friedman, obviously, he'll score points tonight, but with less points available, he might lose out later on. But we'll see how his night goes. But it is O'Reilly from Tordok, from Sylph, from Clouden, from Friedman. Then it's Hooper, Duffin, McGowan, Hibbs, Carlos, Ramsell, Wright, Millington, Taylor, Stardog, Fernie, Skunky, Leach, Old Sim Racer, Clarble, Tipping, Aberdeen, O'Brien, Johnson, Smith, Vesey, Snide, Gooday, Unsworth, Archer, Rook, Zdanov, Wheel, Cummings, Marsden, Marshall, Jackal, Betterson, Strzok. And that is your championship drivers standings. Regarding the teams, it is down to 2, but it's looking more the way of MSA Racing. They've got a 109 point gap over Greasy Bandits, who are well ahead of Old School Racers. Unknown Racing in that 4th place position. 5th is SimPlay Racing. Cam Racing in 6th. With Quantum Motorsport in 7th. Team Tom in 8th, Piston Pounders in 9th, Blunt Force Racing 10th, Piston Pumpers in 11th, Roadrunner Motors 12th, 13th is Star Wolf Racing, Audio Sport in 14th, Old Get Racing, Lexi Industries and RB GT Team rounds off the end of the standings. So, as we now get ourselves prepped and ready to go into this one, this is how the GT4s work, and as you can see, the sun has now come out, but it looks like we're going to have more rain coming in a little bit later on. As you can see, more cars have headed onto the circuit with the clearer conditions coming out. We've been on board with these guys for a bit. Let's go on board with Hibbs. I don't know if it's me, but I think the stream might be looking a little bit glitchy. If anyone can tell me if it is or isn't, that would be fantastic. I'm going to have to give it a look on my phone just to make sure everything is okay. But For my screens, it looks a little bit jumpy. A little bit. Nothing. We'll have to live with it, I'm afraid. But nonetheless, we are prepped and ready to go racing here at Watkins Glen. And speaking of this fantastic circuit, let's have a quick run through of this fantastic track. Watkins Glen, round 11 of the season. The circuit is 3.4 miles long, 5.5 kilometers, with 15 corners, 6 to the left, 9 to the right. Pole position is on the right hand side, and the ACC at lap record is a 1:42.0, held by the Lexus. And the most successful drivers around this circuit has been Overtaker and Skunky. And obviously neither of those will be racing here tonight, unless Skunky is here on the grid, but I do not see him tonight. So it will just be what the rest of the guys could do with this fantastic circuit. Just outside of New York, and definitely one of the more favoured American circuits from these guys. Let's take a lap with Hibbs as he just comes down the main straight. We head now down towards turn number 1. And then we just want to brake just before the boards here on the left-hand side, and then get the front to turn in. Try not to take too much inside curve because it is a little bit unstable, and then run as wide as you dare to take as much of the outside curve as you can. Up towards turn 2, into kind of like an Oru section that's not as tight, into turn 3, and then swooping into turn 4. Pretty much flat in every car we race in this week. And then we head down towards the bus stop chicane. Brake just before the marshal post there, drop down 2 gears, get it in turn for the first bit, onto the power as soon as you possibly can, and swooping into the long right-hander, having to be patient. Hibbs there, having to drop down a gear to try and get the power down, get a good exit out of the corner, and then head down towards the left-hander, downhill. Tricky braking, especially for a car that likes a lot of rear-end braking, but Hibbs managed to negotiate that beautifully through there, and then heading up to the right-hander. Brake at the 100-meter board, drop down 2 gears, and again, patient, you're climbing back uphill, you've just gone down and back up the hill, and continuously climbing up the hill as you then came up towards probably the most trickiest part of this circuit, into the right-hander. You think you get in more speed into this corner, but it tightens on exit. Let the car run out wide, and then into probably the most difficult circuit on here, the left-hander. Really have to wait for the car to be level on the circuit to really start putting the power down. And then into the penultimate corner, a dab of the brakes, turn in, drop down the gear for Hibbs somehow, run it out wide, and then into the final corner again, and just a drop down into a different gear. Try and get a good exit, slingshot out, get as closest to the wall as you dare. And that, thank you Hibbs, is a lap around Watkins Glen. So beautifully done there by Hibbs. But the man we got to really keep an eye on tonight is this one, Tardok. He is still obviously mathematically in this championship, as is a few of the others. And we're just going to have to see how he does. There's a lot for him to try and score here tonight. He's got Duffin just behind him there. We'll see what he can do. A 1:54.7 is the current pace. But a reminder how the GT4s work. Obviously, these guys currently in their practice session. We will then head into a reverse sprint race. And the grid is based off the championship standings in reverse. So Tardok will be starting towards the back of the pack. 20 minutes in the race, and a mandatory pit stop is required. And all they have to do is put 1 litre worth of fuel in. And you see the Porsche looking beautiful through the bus stop chicane there. Clouden still in pit lane, trying to go on board with a different driver. Friedman's back to the pits. We've got Matt Wright currently out on the circuit as well. So once the sprint race is done, we'll then go into a small practice sessions for the drivers to get themselves sorted and organised to go racing once again for the feature race, which will be a 45-minute race. Not an hour long as the GT3s have, and again a mandatory pit stop is required. 1 litre worth of fuel once again, 25 seconds, or if they want fuel tyres as well, as a total of 30 seconds. And that is the end of practice. Excuse me. A reminder as well, the GT4s, instead of carrying the bop, they have a success ballast. So if you're leading the championship, you'll be carrying that success ballast. Obviously no O'Reilly tonight, so we will not see the 40 kilos. So instead, Tardock will have the 30 kilos on board with him. Sorry, 35 kilos. Then we should have Silth, who's then got 30 kilos on board. Just behind him is Jamal Cladden with 25 kilos. Will Friedman with 20 kilos on board. Then there should be a 15 kilo driver, but they're not here. Matthew Duffin carrying 10 kilos and 5 for McGowan. And that is that. And Tardock sets the pace here. Clouden not able to get near him at this stage. There is one other car out on track. I believe it's Fernie. He's coming to a stop. He has ended his session right there. And we just now wait for Matt Wright to complete this one. So I said this should be an exciting race ahead. All to play for, especially for Tardock. With no O'Reilly here, who knows what could happen tonight? That is the question. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And while you're at it, head over to our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. Their links are in the description. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gift, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, including SimPlay merchandise. And Audio Sport, manufacturers of T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. And their Facebook link is there as well. I forgot to download the reverse grids, so I'm currently doing that super quickly. And now updating that one as well. So we now just wait for the drivers to get themselves prepped and ready to go, and we now wait. Underway. Peace in the chat said, good luck GT4s, and let's go racing, says a PN in the chat. And we've got a lot of drivers looking to try and get a few more race wins towards the end of this season. There's only 4 official races left for these guys. And we shall see how it all pans out later on this week. But first things first, let's get the sprint race underway. And they now pull away from the grid. And as they pull away, we will get the reverse grid order up on the screen. So on the front row, we should have Marston and Cummings starting on the front row. Alongside them, we should have Wheel and Archer. Then it should be Snye and Vesey. With them, it will be Smith and Johnson in 7th and 8th place. And then we should have Aberdeen and Tipping for 9th and 10th. With Fernie and Stardog starting in 11th and 12th. 13th will then go the way of Taylor and Millington. And then from there, we should have Wright and Ramsell for 15th and 16th place position. Then 17th and 18th should be Carlos and McGowan. Just behind them will be Duffin and Friedman. And then we have Jamal Clouden and Silth for 21st and 22nd. And then for 23rd and 24th would be Tardock and old Sim Racer joining at the back of the pack. And then right towards the back, we have Hibbs as well, starting from the back of the grid. And that is the grid order. For round 11 of the sprint. And I am currently trying to sort out the driver poll and who you think is going to win this one. So guys, like I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you do not miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. and trying to jump from one keyboard to another is not the easiest one. Just put in some random names. But I hope you've all enjoyed the GT4s as much as I have. They've been absolutely brilliant. And who knows if they're going to make another return next season. Might be something new, might be something different. Clarbo in the chat saying good luck. Or there's a poll where you think who's going to win this one. If you don't agree with me, then obviously write who you think in the chat. But we're about to go racing here once again at SimPlay Motorsport. It's been fantastic stuff here. I thoroughly enjoyed watching these cars. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've only got a few more races left with them. It is going to be Marston and Cummings on the front row though. And who is going to be the one to take the penultimate sprint race of the season? Ginetta versus Alpine on the front row. This is going to be very exciting. Remind you as well that tomorrow night the GT3 Pro-Am drivers will be back on circuit as well. And in 10 minutes time we will have rain, so this could get spicy, guys. This could get interesting as we've got rain lurking around. But we now look to the main straight here in New York in the US of A. Who is going to be top dog tonight? As it's going to be green and go as we go racing at Watkins Glen, heading down towards turn number 1 as the Ginetta and the Alpine try and maneuver their way down into turn number 1. Everyone else though making sure they stay within the limits and making sure they give each other space and respect. And up the hill we go, and already contact made there as Michael, I think, has got damage to the car, and then everyone else has ended up plowing into the back of him. Who's in the middle of that? There's Clouden, I think Carlos as well, Johnson, and I think McGowan are actually inside one another. Yeah, Johnson's had to return back to the pits, and McGowan's got major damage to his car. A lot of cars with a lot of damage there. The Toro was involved in that as well, so this could be absolutely anyone's race. And with the wet conditions as well, even though you've been caught up in that incident, I would be getting back on track as soon as possible because anything can happen. Meanwhile, Marston is leading Cummings ahead of Archer, ahead of Vesely, ahead of Snai, who's just behind this group of cars. Wheels gone round now, so is he managing to just stay out of the way as the rest of the packs come fleeting through? Down towards left hand, Hibbs has made a few places up himself. Carlos slowly working his way up the order also. So Carlos looking up the inside there of Fernie as we look to the front here. Vesey is defending from Snai as around the outside goes the Australian of Benny, who's going to try and keep it. No, he gets shoved out wide by Cummings. So it's 4 fighting for the lead. Further back, meanwhile, we got Wright and Carlos going wheel to wheel, and Wright's going to try and go around the outside of Carlos, not going to get the job done. Archer's had a mistake. He's had him off. He's ended up in the dirt and in the gravel. He ends up just falling in behind Snai. It's already lap 1 done and completed, and it's going to rain in 10 minutes time, and heavy rain by the looks of things as well. But here comes Cummings down towards turn number 1. This is a change for the leads, and it goes the way of the 3-2-1 of Alistair Cummings. He now leads this race as Vesey has now been passed by Snai, and Smith is having a good little race here as well. So Smith on the move. And now up top of the hill, and I believe that is Marston kicking up a little bit of dirt there. Meanwhile, everyone else just feeding in behind Fernie. Archer there, look at the speed of that Camaro. Right in a slipstream of Wright, but can't seem to do anything with it. And they now go up to the bus stop chicane. Up the inside goes Silth. It's a bit risky going against Fernie. Then Fernie hits the curb, he goes round, and Silth helps him around as well. I think there was another car off. No, there wasn't. It's Jamal Clouden slowly trying to work his way through the order. Meanwhile, Tordok, what's happened to him? Has he had another off? His car looks more damaged. Yes, it does. And Tordok could do more championship points. And this is all this does is allow O'Reilly to not be here, extend his championship points. Meanwhile, Carlos already dropping the rest of the pack behind him, is already onto the back of Smith and giving him a hard time. Snai has already caught the Ginetta of Marston, and you can see the power of the Mercedes-Benz coming into effect, and you can start to see the sun is feeding behind the clouds. And the clouds are getting heavier here. Meanwhile, you can see there Friedman attacking right. He's going to be on the outside of this awkward left-hander, but he's going to hold it strong. He's going to keep his foot pinned, and he gets the job done, but he bounces all over the dirt and manages to negotiate right there. Next target for him is Silf. Carlos, meanwhile, looking up the inside of Smith there, but thought better of it. But he's still alongside, though. So Smith, with a poor exit there, has put himself under pressure, and he's about to lose out to Carlos, who's going to go up the inside of turn number 1. Yes, he is. Smith can't hold him off, and job done for him. Meanwhile, Marston has got Snai breathing down his neck. Here he comes, and this should see an easy pass for the Mercedes-Benz. Into the toe comes the Mercedes-Benz. Look at it, it's just creeping. Is he going to go for it at the bus stop? Marston really makes it a tight entry, but it's just about enough space for a Mercedes-Benz to get through. And job done there from Snai. That was brave stuff, and he managed to pull it off. What else is going on? Duffin and Hibbs are going at it wheel to wheel, and I think Hibbs, with a much cleaner car, is able to continue on going. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden already pressurising the back of Remy Fernie. Up the inside comes Clouden, and Fernie just running wide there. Pit window has now opened, but Fernie's still on the inside. They're still going to go wheel to wheel, and great racing from these two. Great respect. Jamal Clouden still there. They're still side by side, and I think Clouden should get the job done into the next right-hander. Yes, he will. Meanwhile, Alistair Cummins will now have pressure from Snai as Carlos is on the move, and already Will Friedman has now dispatched Smith, and he's going with Silth at the minute. Both of those two just working their way through the order. Robert Ramsell now onto the back of Archer. And there Carlos looking like he's making a move on the back of Vesey. BMW mighty in a straight line, but terrible in the corners. You can see Carlos, the much better run, the much better exit. But he's actually coming under pressure from Silth as Marston comes into the pit. So does Duffin in the background, as does a few of the others. But up the inside goes Carlos. Holds on to the position for now, but Silth is looking primed and ready to go. And with all of that, Friedman's gone with him as well. Meanwhile, your fight for the lead is about to change, but Alistair Cummins holds on to the inside and keeps the momentum and stays in front of Snai. In the slipstream comes Snai. Is he going to try and use that straight line advantage once again? Cummins knowing that it's going to come eventually, but no, not this time. Snai hasn't got the confidence. Vesti, meanwhile, has been passed by Carlos. Now Silth around the outside, and Vesti comes off worse. Contact there, and off he goes. Silth is now about to get passed by Friedman, who's right behind him. And now all these guys are now going to be battling out to try and take the race win here. But once again, Snai is still giving Cummings a hard time, and nearly hits the back of him there. The 420, that is Marston. He has got a drive through and a stop go penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that's not going to help him out at all. Meanwhile, Carlos has dropped Friedman and Silth as they now come to the right-hander, and Silth just hanging on to that position there. Silth running wide. And Friedman, I think it's going to be under some more pressure here. Meanwhile, Ramsell still trying to find the way past on Archer, and Archer goes a little bit wide. That's going to give the opportunity for the Aston Martin up the inside. Meanwhile, Cummings, though, still defending heavily from Snai. Snai decides to pit, and into pit lane he comes. Maybe trying to use the undercut here. Doesn't want to come in too fast. And I think he manages just to get it stopped. Now Carlos has been given the clean air, and he now sets fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, here comes the rain. Now, what are they going to do now? Track is still fast. but the wet weather has turned up. We have got rain, ladies and gentlemen. And Friedman right on the back bumper of Silth. What do drivers do now? Do they pit for some dry, for some wets, or do they just stick with the dries and hope that this shower is only gonna pass pretty quickly? It's gonna get heavier though, as Carlos is now onto the back of Cummings. If Snai has paid attention, he would have decided to change to the wets, because track is green already, so the grip has already gone. And we'll see how quick it goes to greasy and damp. We thought it was a myth here. We thought there was going to be no rain. The 333, who is that? That is Snai. Stop and go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I thought he was too quick into pit lane, and he's been hurt from it. Wright, meanwhile, has jumped Snai as well. So Wright is in the pound seat. He's looking good at the minute, as Carlos now goes past Cummings, but misses the brakes. The track is greasy. We're in greasy conditions now. It's just going to get wetter and wetter. This is what we want from GT4s. We want rain. And Cummings now extending his gap as these three are burning out. Who pits? Who goes on to what tire? You have to pit for the wets, surely. Cummings is in. Silth, Carlos and Friedman are staying out. They're all staying out. So they're going to try and stay on the track a little bit longer. But I think Cummings is come for the wets, as will Smith. Archer, it's just going to get heavier, the wet condition, and Friedman barging doors with Carlos. Is he going to make contact with Silver? No, he's not. And Friedman up on the inside will get Carlos done. I genuinely think wets are going to be needed, Peaceful. I genuinely do, because this rain is sticking for the whole 10 minutes. And it's going to get heavier. It's greasy now. Who's leading this, the pitters? It is Wright, ahead of Snai, ahead of Ramsell, ahead of Taylor. Duffin way down at the minute, tipping as well. All these guys are all spread out, but your top three at the minute are duking it out. Who's going to blink first? But it is Silf leading the way. And Carlos looking like he's got more pace at this stage. We're just waiting for the circuit to come to them now. Cummings has pitted. Where's it put him, though? That's the question. There is Wright. So Wright has jumped Cummings. So at the minute, Matt Wright is in the pound seat. But what do these guys do? Are they end up tripping over one another? Is Wright already onto the wet tyres? I think damp is when you look at the wet. It's greasy. It is still dry tyres, effectively. And these guys had a couple of days with these conditions, testing them. Carlos still trying to defend heavily from Friedman here. And this is helping Silf get away. Oh, those curves are going to be lethal, and Friedman decides to pit. They both run wide. Friedman now going for the undercut. What else is happening out on track? Jamal Clouden decides to finally pit. He's now ahead of his teammate, Hibbs. Old Sim Racer now comes in as well, as does... Who's that? That's Millington, I think, coming into the pit to get... Yeah, so Millington down a couple of laps. He is back into pit lane, but still... And Carlos, though, leading this one out. Well, the close fight at the minute. Ramsell has now got past Cummings, but he's gone wide. He's made a mistake, and that's going to allow Cummings to come back underneath, but he's not quite got that job done yet. And once again, Ramsell just holds on to that position. He has to mind probably in better conditions. We are seeing spray now. We're into damp conditions. Oh, this is now going to be wet tyre territory. Who can hang it out on the dries? That's the question. There is Friedman. He's about to come off the limiter as Wright is coming into turn number one. I think Friedman has managed to hold on to this one for now, but I don't know what tyres anyone is on. I have no clue. I don't know who's on dries, who's on wets. Not a clue. But Friedman comes out into the clean air. Where's Carlos and Silth? There they are. They're behind Snai, who had to serve his drive stop and go. So he ain't going to be winning this one unless something crazy happens. But Friedman now is your net leader after the pit stops. And they're all just trying to tiptoe their way around Silth and Carlos now. They're going to have to pit this lap. Oh, and you can see Silth, the back end, just twitching like mad. In comes Carlos as well. Can they get it stopped? And they come to the braking zone. Hibbs now decides to pit. If you're Hibbs, you'd risk a tyre change to go to the wets. I think anyone really now should be on... Oh! Who was that? That's Tordok. That's Tordok with major damage to the front end of his car. He's really struggling in these wet conditions. As Stardog now into the pit lane. So Friedman still leads this leading pits. But again, who's on what tyre? That is the question. Beto in the chat saying evening with the thumbs up. And what a night to be watching the racing. As Friedman now goes through the left-hander. Gets all over the curb. He doesn't seem too bothered by that curb. And Wright has gone with him. Ramsell has had a good race out of this as well. Cummings has stayed relatively up the top pack of the group as well. But anyone, I think, who's on the slicks are going to be struggling. Friedman, meanwhile, crosses the line. And he is now your net leader. Pit window is now closed. I think Silth, Carlos, Hibbs have all gone onto the wets. Wright's gone very wide. Friedman's gone very wide. Silth has come out of the pit lane, as has Carlos, but Carlos is ahead of Silth. I think Carlos hasn't changed tyres, and I think Silth has. But for 4.5 minutes, can the slick tyre runners survive? I think Hibbs has put wets on. But again, this is just me purely, he's got wets. Look at the way he just goes around the outside of the Ginetta there. Yeah, and I think Carlos has got wets as well. Down the inside of Wright he goes. And Carlos goes on through. These guys have put the wet tyres on. And they've just got to hunt down Friedman as quickly as they possibly can. Hibbs is going to be the next one to keep an eye on and how he gets on. Clouder, meanwhile, I don't know if he's put wets on it as well. Considering he ended up in that big incident earlier on, he's worked his way up to 7th place with the damage as well. So a great drive from him. Wright, meanwhile, he's also got an honourable mention. I think he's still on those slick tyres. And now we have got wet track. We've got an official wet track. And if you're not on the wet tyres now, you are going to be struggling. The rain has come down hard. Friedman is still leading this race, though, ahead of Carlos, now Wright, and Silth now looking to make a move up the inside in these wet conditions. It's a bit risky. Oh, but Wright goes very wide. He's onto the curb. He keeps it on the tarmac, but around the outside there, you see the wet tyre advantage, and Silth goes on through. What else is happening down the order? Cummings has gone round. He's made a mistake. He's on the slicks. He's gone round. Jamal Clouder, meanwhile, is on the attack of Ramsell. And Hibbs is going with him. Meanwhile, Taylor ahead of Archer. He's got Millington behind him. And I think Millington's gone onto the wets as well. So Millington trying to work his way through this race. And a few of these guys just tiptoeing their way around now. Oh, Archer looking up the inside of Taylor. And I think he's going to get the job done. Yes, he is. And up the hill they go. Meanwhile, where's Friedman? He's dropped it. He's got damage to his car. So obviously the slick tyres have not worked for him. Wright has managed to keep going himself. But your top two are long gone now. And Jamal Clouden is hunting Wright down. Hand over fist here. And if you're on the slicks, you're in trouble. Anyone else gone off at the minute? Everyone else relatively clean so far. But Friedman now, just a sitting duck with these conditions. Here comes Hibbs. Oh, Friedman's off big time again. He's on the grass. He's trying to stay out of the way, but Hibbs goes on through. Meanwhile, Jamal Clouden has caught right. And again, Clouden was in that big incident earlier on, and he's worked his way up into P4, now possibly a P3 for him. So great drive from him. Meanwhile, Carlos comes into the final few corners here, and he will start his final lap here. So great drive from him, and worked out the strategy perfectly for him. Into the left-hander they go. Jamal Clouden. Wet's clearly on his car, and Wright going sideways. He manages to keep it under control, but Jamal Clouden gets the job done. He does understeer a little bit wide, but because Wright is on those dry tyres, he's got no answer to that Camaro. Ramsdell's next to try and hunt down Wright. Can he get him? Hibbs is on a flyer as well, so keep an eye on him as Friedman is still trying to hang in there. He's been passed by Archer. Next is Taylor. And the other fight's going on at the minute. Vesely fighting old sim racer. Everyone else, though, pretty spread out. And Jamal Clouden not going to catch the leaders now. Your next fight looks like it's going to be between Hibbs and Ramsdell. And Hibbs is catching Ramsdell hand over fist here. With no Hooper and with Tordot right down the order. The Greasy Bandits boys are scoring big here. And through the chicane comes Hibbs. He's got the gap down to 0.6 seconds. Friedman, though, still going out a minute. He's going to be hunted down by Taylor. But Hibbs still... Has he already done Ramsdell? Yeah, Ramsdell's gone off. Ramsdell's ended up in the NASCAR circuit, and he's got major damage to the front end of his car, and that's an unsafe rejoin from Ramsdell. No, 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 no. Smith, with a great race in front of him, has been hit by an unsafe rejoining Ramsdell. But meanwhile, we look to this man, Carlos, figured the strategy out perfectly, predicted the weather spot on. He's coming into the penultimate corner now. We finally get rain here. And into the final comes Carlos. Rain, and he becomes the Rainmeister in this one. Carlos wins the sprint here at Watkins Glen. A brilliant drive from him. Still will take the second place position. Clouden caught up in that instant, damage at the start of the race. He comes in and takes a very well-deserved P3. Good job from him. Is Hibbs just going to get right to the very end? No, he's not. Right is just going to hang in there for the leading dry tyres. And he gets that fourth place. Hibbs in that fifth place position. Friedman, meanwhile, exits the final corner. And I tell you what, he hanged in there. He got that sixth place position ahead of Taylor. And here comes Smith. He did get Cummings in the end. Smith ahead of Cummings, ahead of Vesely, and now ahead of old Sim Racer, who's got Stardog right behind him. Fernie is going to come home for that 13th place position. And then we got Duffing coming into the final few corners now in 14th place position. Ian Best in the chat, well done, right on those slicks. Yeah, that was really hard work from him there. Clarball, great racing. And Vet in the chat, Best commenting, thank you very much for that one. An awesome racing there. Duffing comes home for that 14th place position. Snai looking very good earlier on, but with that penalty as well, really put him down the order. He's going to end up in that 15th place position. Tipping is going to come home for 16th place. He's a bit slow, don't know why. But Tipping out of the final corner will take 16th place position. Johnson there crossing the line in 22nd. Mazda now coming into the penultimate corner to take 17th place, just ahead of Tordok, who's 18th in this one. Ramsdell 19th in the end. Archer 20th, Millington 21st, Johnson 22nd, Wheel 23rd, and McGowan 24th, but several laps down. But it is Carlos who takes the win here. A great job from him. And we're going to go into a quick break as the drivers get themselves ready for the next one. We'll see you guys in just a few moments' time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the late return. I'm not feeling 100%, so was a little bit longer in my break, let's just put it that way. But we are back in racing once again. The wet conditions are here to stay, but those things in qualifying. The rain is meant to obviously ease up, but for this one qualifying session that the guys have, it's pretty much as wet as it comes. As Silth is going to be the first man to set a lap time in these wet conditions. Friedman in the chat saying, made the wrong choice, not changing tyres. That's what happens sometimes. A lot of the guys are choosing not to go out on track. There's a few staying in the pits, and some of them have got grid penalties to serve. But after that race, okay, championship has completely turned on its heads. Kieran O'Reilly still leads the way ahead of Silth, who's only 94 points behind him, with Jamal Clouden now in third, with Tordok in fourth place. Will Friedman now out of the championship, so it's now down to the top four. If Tordok can hang in there, there's 50 points. He'll be outscored at the minute as we go into the final race at Donington Park. And with the way the weather is at the minute in the UK, we could see this wet torrential rain staying around for a while, but we shall see. But it is O'Reilly still leading away from Silth, ahead of Clouden, ahead of Tordog, Will Friedman ahead of Hooper, ahead of Carlos, Duffin, Hibbs, McGowan, Ramsell, Wright, Taylor, Stardog, Millington, Fernie, Old Sim Racer, Skunky, Leach, Tipping, Clarble, Smith, Aberdeen, O'Brien, Vestley, Johnson, Snye, Goudet, Archer, Unsworth, Cummings, Wheel, Rook, Zdanov, Marsden, Marshall, Jackal, Betterson and Storrock bringing up the order regarding the championship for the teams. Wow. MSA are still leading away, only 40 points ahead of Greasy Bandits. Greasy Bandits could still win the GT4 championship. A lot of pressure now on the shoulders of Jamal Clouden and Hibbs. Both on track at the minute qualifying. There's old school races in P3 with Unknown Racing in P4. P5 is SimPlay Racing with Cam in P6. Quantum Motorsport in P7. 8th is Team Tom. Blunt Force in 9. 10th is Piston Pounders with Piston Pumpers in 11th. Roadrunner Motorsports from Star Wolf Racing, Old Git Racing, Audio Sport, Lexi's Industries Racing, and RBGT Team. That is that. We have now come to the end of qualifying as well, or the end of the first laps anyway. Silth is going to get another lap underneath his belt. He comes to the line now. 2:05 is the pace. What does Carlos do? That's the question. He gets within 3/10 of him. Now it's Jamal Clouden. He goes third, and Tordok goes fastest of them all. McGowan now 1.5 off the pace. Now we look to Fernie to cross the line. No lap time from him. Duffin just off the pace also. I believe then we got Marston, I think. No, it's Cummings ahead of Snye. Snye now goes into that P4 position. Who else coming to the lap? Old Sim Smith comes to P10 and Hibbs goes to P7. Who else still yet to sell a lap? We got Vesey exiting the final corner just ahead of him. I believe it is Ramsell. Ramsell goes to the line and goes 9th. Vesey goes 11th. We are now coming to the end of this qualifying session. And it's Stardog who's bailed on his lap. So what can Wright do here? He looks like he's clipped the wall. He's touched the wall somewhere. As Wright comes to the line and goes P9. Archer still in the pits. Johnson still on a lap, as is Fernie and Duffin, but they're battling it out at the minute. But it's going to be Silth to first come to the line. And Silth now into the penultimate corner. Can he find? No, that is him done. He will not improve, or he's keeping his foot pinned. So even if you run wide, especially in these wet conditions, you can pretty much continue your lap on. But here comes Sylph to the line. Has he found that time? No, he has not. Can Carlos find 0.4 of a second? Yes, he can. He goes even faster. Here comes Tordok. Has he found more time? No, he hasn't. So Carlos continues his wet streak at the minute. McGowan now to the line. No improvement from him. Here comes Duffin. Any improvement from Duffin? Yes, he gets himself up into P5. Cummings now coming to the line. And he does go ahead of Ramsel. Ramsel still on a lap, as is the 44 of Vesely. Into the final corner comes Ramsel now. And is this going to be an improvement? 4.8 off the pace. He goes into P9 in the end. Vesely, any improvement from him either? A slight improvement, but stays where he is on the grid. So Carlos continuing his awesome pace here at Watkins Glen, takes pole position ahead of Tordok in second place. Self in P3, Snide P4, Duff in P5, and Jamal Cloud in P6, with Hibbs also P8. So big points looking good for the Greasy Bandits driver. But the MSA driver is still at the front now. I feel like it's Verstappen versus McLaren all over again. It is a lot wetter here, and it is going to stay. We've got wet conditions to stay here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this is going to be spicy. I am looking forward to this one. But the man to beat at the minute seems to be Carlos in these conditions at this circuit. This seems to be his kind of driving style at the minute around Watkins Glen. So we'll see what Carlos can do. We'll start a poll for your feature race winner. A reminder as well, guys, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified. Also a reminder, sign-ups are now up and raring to go for the 24 hours of the Nordschleife. Get your team sorted. Reminder as well, this is, yes, it is an event that we're running, and it does count towards starts and stuff like that. But obviously, this is a charity event that we're doing. So yes, we will have a race winner. Yes, we will be celebrating the race winner. But more importantly, we are coming together ourselves and FBR, and all of us together are all challenging, taking on the challenge that is cancer, and we want to raise as much money as we possibly can. So make sure you tune in on that one. That will be the 3rd of May. Myself, Matthew Duffin, will be bringing the commentary, and we'll have all sorts of different people in as well, from Lexi to Kelly Davis to all sorts, and you'll be seeing myself, Matthew, and a few others as well out on track. So please, as many of us as we possibly can, get in, get yourself signed up. It is all for a great cause. We'll take on the Nordschleife as a team, as we take on the challenge of cancer ourselves. Please, guys, get yourselves backed up and signed up for that one. It's going to be an absolutely an amazing event. But while you're there, have a look in our description as well for our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl, graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Head over also to Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk, and their Facebook link is there as well. And obviously, we're coming to the end of this season, and you want to be a part of the next season, then head over to our SimGrid. Get yourself signed up on the Discord and get your hot stints done around Barcelona. All the circuits you've seen this season, we are not running next season. We'll be trying to get as much data as we possibly can for the SimBot, so we have as much information as we possibly can going into next seasons. And also, if you do want to be a part of the Patreon as well, loads of extra benefits from that one as well, then support the channel and be a part of us here at SimPlay Motorsport. We are a group, we are a family, we are a community, and we also listen to you guys, the excuse me, the admin meeting will be coming up very shortly soon as well, as we will look to our next season to see what we could do to improve this amazing channel and see where we go from here, because it's been awesome nonetheless. I thoroughly enjoyed every part of the season once again, and I am looking forward to more and more next season. But we've got one feature race left, one sprint race left for the GT4s and 3 features to go. Carlos is on pole position here at Watkins Glen, and then we will be heading to the home of SimPlay Motorsport next week for Donington Park. But also what yet still to come. It looks fairly dry for the Pro-Am and the Pros coming up later on this week. We've got the Pro-Ams tomorrow night with Lexi giving you all the information and streaming for that one. And then on Thursday night it's the Pros themselves, as we got Matthew Duffin and Kelly Davis bringing you action sweet and sticky in your box. But we are now looking towards the end of this formation lap, 45 minutes around this challenging circuit in the wet conditions. Who is going to come out on top? It is a Porsche versus a Ginetta on the front row. Carlos versus Silth. And I'm not sure why, but they're all in a little bit of a strange order here. Not sure exactly what is going on right now. Sorry, it was Tordok, who ended up second in the end. So it's an all Porsche front row. Carlos versus Tordok. Who is going to take the win here? Get your votes in on who you think, and if you don't agree with me on those ones, then feel free to put in who you think. But can Greasy Bandits chase down MSA for the final race of the season? We now just wait for the go here at Watkins Glen.
Green line.
We are racing in America for the final time this season, heading down towards turn number 1, and looks like Cloudon's got a jump on Duffin as he goes into turn number 1 and looking to already attack on Silth. It sounds like a car has now left the pits. That is Wheel, and everyone are managing to survive the first couple of laps here, as we can see Silth and Tordok at the minute going at it wheel to wheel. But Carlos gets the jump, he gets the start he needed, and he pulls away. Cloudon, meanwhile, has done Snide and is already onto the attack of Silth. And looking to the outside of the bus stop chicane. Can he brake later? No, he cannot, as they test the curbs out for the first time. Carlos goes a little bit deep, which is going to back the pack back up. But Ramsel, meanwhile, holding everybody else up as they all manage to negotiate the first couple of laps here. And Friedman, contact with Vesey there. Vesey's gone round, as Will Friedman tries to work his way through the order. Jamal Cloudon there going a little bit wide. That's going to give the opportunity to Duffin to come up the inside. Going to be on the outside now of the right-hander, and Snide looks up the inside of Duffin as well, but can't quite get the job done. Meanwhile, Tordok is attacking Carlos for the race lead here. They're side by side as they now head over to the right-hander, and Silv's right with them as well. And Carlos trying to brake later. Tordok up the inside. And Carlos finds the grip. There's more grip on the outside of the circuit. And Carlos holds on to the position as Silth now looks to attack. Further back, meanwhile, Ramsel and Hibbs are pulled away from Cummings, who's in a fight with Wright, McGowan, Friedman, Smith, and everybody else. Johnson just ahead of those guys as well. But they're all now working their way through the left-hander, and Wright goes around the outside of McGowan, and as does Will Freeman, and McGowan's ended up in the wall. Big damage to his car. Meanwhile, Tordok is now battling for the lead with Carlos, and the track is now damp, so it is going to dry up here by the looks of things. As Carlos goes wide, Tordok goes a little bit wide with him as well, as you got Cloudon, Duffin and Snide all battling it out for that 4th place position. Working our way through the fast flowing corners here. Meanwhile, the Porsche of Freeman right underneath the rear wing of Wright. Is Friedman going to try up towards the bus stop chicane? He gets close. Is he going to be later on the brace? Yes, he is. And Friedman gets that job done. Oh, a little slide from him though. But he does make the corner and holds on to the position. Meanwhile, Clouden needs to stop looking in his rear view and start focusing on the cars in front, because Duffin is giving him a bit of a hard time, and they're trying to go forward and catch the MSA group. But at the minute, Carlos has got this race under control at this moment in time. And look, you can see them trying to find the wet patches here. They do not want their tyres overheating too early here. Now Friedman is on to Cummins after being cleared from him. He's slowing his wake, making his way up the order. Got the two Team Tom drivers going at it, Old Sim Racer and Rob Smith. We're just ahead of them is Goudet versus Millington. Millington fighting it hard with Goudet, but John gonna have to stay strong on the outside, but he can't quite do so, and he has to fall back into formation. Meanwhile, further ahead, Friedman is looking to attack Cummings, and Duffin is still trying to attack Clouden, which is basically them lot fighting has allowed the top three to just pull away. I don't think this rain is going to disappear, so they're going to have to try and look after those tyres as much as they possibly can, and maybe a change of wet tyres might be in hand later on, as Carlos once again just looking for the water. And here comes right around the outside, oh, Will Friedman. So obviously Cummins has held up Friedman. Now right, oh, Friedman and Wright come together. A big contact between them. And Wright and Friedman both ended up in the wall, damage done. And Friedman come to a stop there and having to wait to get going, as Wright has got going. Friedman, I think, will probably end up returning to it. And meanwhile, further back, there's more chaos. Vesti's got damage. Tipping's in the wall, so Stardog and Marston as well. So those guys at the back have also got damage. I think Friedman has now gone and left the session. No, he hasn't. He's still there. He's returned to pit lane, has he? Yes, he has. He has returned to the pit lane. Meanwhile, go back on board with Fernie, who's got Millington and Goudet with him. And Fernie going around the outside, trying to keep hold of Millington, keep him behind. Can't quite do so at the minute. Meanwhile, Duffin still giving Clouden a hard time at this moment in the race. Once again, you can see the drivers just searching for water. Snyde's got a different approach to it. He's ended up on the grass. That's going to make his tyres dirty, if anything. So that's his way of trying to find some cooler conditions. Ramsel and Hibbs, though, still close to them, guys, to still score some decent points. But Duffin, meanwhile, still right under the rear wing of Jamal Clouden. Meanwhile, towards the front, Carlos and Tordok are close to one another. Bouncing over the curb, there you go. But they're just pulling away from the rest of the pack. Meanwhile, we go back to Fernie, Millington and Goudet. They're going to go three wide towards the bus stop. This is not going to end well, and Fernie just keeps turning to the left, which is not good, and Goudet ends up off. Contact with Millington. Millington's ended up off as well. And I believe all that started off was Fernie squeezing the three of them all really close. Meanwhile, Millington has to make sure he does a good rejoin. He does. And here comes Wright. He now works his way through the order also. So I believe Friedman has left. Tordok, meanwhile, momentarily took the lead of this race. Carlos is fighting back with him, though. And Carlos ended up pushed wide. And Tordok now goes into the lead of this race. But he himself has understeered wide. And Carlos is back on the inside. patient on the throttle, Carlos, because you will have the inside once again for the next corner. And Tordok's going to try and go around the outside, but no job done there. Carlos defends him off once again, and Silth is getting closer once again. Meanwhile, Duffin and Clouden still going at it. Clouden goes wide, Duffin has a tight entry, Clouden ends up in the wall, and the one that's going to benefit from all of that is Snai, who's ended up on the grass. And Duffin now up the inside. And contact made there, Duffin and Clouden pushing and shoving one another, and Snai is going to take full advantage of this and go up the inside himself. Contact made there for Duffin, Snai goes wide, sorry, Duffin goes wide, Snai goes wide himself and falls back into position. Proper door banging here, and all this does is help Ramsell gets onto terms here. Once again, Carlos and Tordok gets close to one another, but not close enough. Duffin now leads this group. As Jamal Clouden looks to try and come back at him, Hibbs is now just creeping onto the back of this pack. Meanwhile, Cummins ahead of Fernie, ahead of Old Sim Racer, ahead of Goudet, ahead of Smith, ahead of Johnson, ahead of Archer, ahead of Taylor, Wright, Millington, Wheel, Vesely, Marston, Stardog, and then Tipping are your other drivers in this one. So up towards the far end of the circuit. Once again, Tordok not quite close enough to Carlos. I think some of these guys are now just giving up with the water. And it's all about concentration here, not to make a mistake. Duffin has got the whole pack behind him. And he's got to purely focus on keeping it facing the right way. We go back to this fight for the lead. Carlos seems to be under control. Silth really pushing the limits. They're trying to use the genetic grip as best he can. Oh, Tordok there with a slide himself, just struggling with grip. And you can see there, Silth looking to try and cool those tyres down. Meanwhile, you can see again Clouden and Ramsell looking for the cooler conditions. Turn one they go. Matt has had a poor exit there, a poor run through turn one, and Clouden's going to be right on him, but Ramsell's had a much better run himself. Snai has understeered and gone wide. So now come towards the bus stop chicane. And through the bus stop they go. Duffin still holding on as Snai and Hibbs have just dropped off the back of this group. Cummings has now dropped behind Fernie. While the fights are going on a minute, these guys are all kind of spread out a little bit. No real close fights as Tordok once again did get within close distance to Carlos, but not enough to really get the position done. This is your closest fight at the minute. It's Duffin, Clouden and Ramsell all batting it out. And in about 30 minutes time it is going to be dry. And there you see Clouden and Ramsell looking for the cooler condition. Matt's not too bothered by it at the minute. He's not fazed by trying to find water. So Hibbs now attacking Snai. Meanwhile, Cummings and Fernie have lost a bit of time to Old Sim Racer and Goudet, who are chasing those two down. But again, Carlos still has control of this one. McGowan said he's got disconnected. And as you see, the top three looking for that water once again. Jamal Clouden now all over the back of Duffin, looks towards turn number one. I think it's better of it. Meanwhile, behind them, Hibbs has got Snai, so that's more championship points for Greasy Bandits. And with Tordok up in second place and with the fastest lap, they're going to need every single point they can get, and Snai is going to be a real headache for him. And Jamal Clouden again needs to clear Duffin for this championship. Down towards the bus stop chicane we go. Oh, Clouden has hit the back of Duffin and has kept it together, and Clouden's gone off. And there Clouden making the mistake, making contact with. And that is it. Jamal Clouden drops down the order after a silly mistake there. And Ramsel now attacking Duffin himself. So that fight's now broken up. We've got John now attacking old Sim Racer. Old Sim Racer got the Camaro breathing down his neck. The Chevy looking in every opportunity to find the way past. You can hear old Sim Racer having to be so patient on the throttle, take his time, putting the power down, and you can see John looking for the water again. But as we enter the final corner for 30 minutes left of this race, Tordok moves to the right-hand side. Carlos given up on that idea now. He's just sticking to the racing line. And they're still as they are as they started. Duffin, meanwhile, in P4. Ahead of Ramsel, ahead of Hibbs. With Snai in that P7 position. Clouden now down to 8th. With, I think, Snai's just, no, sorry, Fernie's just vanishing here in air. So Fernie in 9th, he's coming and going all the time. Cummings in 10th with old Sim Racer in 11th, holding off Goudet in 12th. Smith in 13th, ahead of Johnson, ahead of Archer, and then ahead of Taylor. And coming into the final corners now is Millington. He's got big damage to the front end of his car. He's ahead of Wright, who's then ahead of Wheel. Vesey in that 20th position, Stardog 21st, Marsden 22nd, and Tipping in 23rd position. Meanwhile, Ramsel is starting to hunt Duffin down a little bit. And Goudet has cleared Cummings, but he's gone a little bit deep through the chicane. That's going to compromise him for the rest of this run. But he manages to collect it together. And after all that hard work of passing the Alpine, he ends up running wide and onto the grass. Oh, now Cummings has hit the wall. He's got damage to his car. He's spun off. And that is going to drop him down the order. Where is Smith? There he is. There is Archer, very close to an unsafe rejoin there. But he continues on going. Meanwhile, Carlos seems to be in a bit of a group. He's got Marston right in his way, though. A lapped car. And Carlos wants him out of the way. And Marston really should move out of the way. But he's not, which has allowed Tordok to get close. And Marston going wide now. And he's dropped it. Which Silth, I think, should clear him. Yes, he will. And here comes Ramsel now. Ramsel attacking the back of Duffin. And Ramsel looking a lot more comfortable in these conditions in that Aston Martin than Duffin is at this precise stage. And Hibbs also just slowly sneaking and working his way onto the back of the Aston Martin and the Mercedes-Benz. Obviously, due to the back marker, Tordok has got a lot closer to Carlos. Ramsel, though, sticking right behind Duffin. Oh, he's got a little bit slidey through the bus stop chicane, and that's going to hurt him now. But he'll bring that gap back down. We're on board with your race leaders at this moment. Carlos ahead of Tordok. Ahead now into the pit window frame. Now, the track is going to dry out later on. How quickly it's going to dry, I don't know. We are going to end up having damp conditions, possibly going into greasy. But this rain is staying at the minute for what it is. But the two leaders continue on through. Once again, Ramsell has caught onto the back of Duffin. And now once again, Hibbs just there or thereabouts, not able to really give a threat to the two in front. Jamal Clouden, meanwhile, just has no answer to Snai, who's decided to pit early on as he manages to hopefully get it stopped this time round. And Ramsell running right out onto the curb. Can Duffin hold off the assault from Robert Ramsell? Down the back straight, there you go. These two been at Donington Park together for media day for the British Touring Cars Championship. Possibly have been talking about Watkins Glen today. I don't think they thought they were going to be racing wheel to wheel tonight. But here they are, and Ramsell just trying to catch Duffin as best he possibly can. A lot of cars in the pits at the minute. With Goudet, Old Sim Racer, Smith, Cummings, Taylor and Snai all in pit lane. As we've got Archer here onto the back of Johnson, and Johnson goes a little bit wide through the S's there. But with that straight line advantage from the McLaren, he should hold him off. Meanwhile, Carlos and Tordock, first and second, ahead of Silth. Duffin, right behind him is Robert Ramsell, and Robert Ramsell is looking for any opportunity for Duffin to make a mistake. Johnson goes a little bit wide. Archer's not close enough to really make a threat. Oh, and you can see there, Tordock just pushing the limits there. He goes wide again. And Silth just has no answer to these two. And he just manages to avoid the wall, does Tordock, as Smith gets himself a stop and go penalty. So this stage of the race, Ramsell does look quicker than Duffin. Now, 10 minutes still to go and we got lighter rain. I don't really think it's going to come out of damp. I would possibly think, if I was Ramsell, to be possibly looking to undercut Matt. He seems to have a little bit more pace than him at the minute, but Matt's gone wide again at turn number 1. So this is another opportunity for Ramsell. Ramsell pretty much pushing Duffin here. Pushing him as they head towards the bus stop chicane. Ramsell thought about the bus stop for a moment, but he has not been confident through there. Duffin has been much better through this section. As you can see, he's pulled away once again from Ramsell. But everywhere else, Ramsell seems to have the advantage. Duffin there makes a slight mistake, so I took my audio because again, hot and sweaty in here, and especially here at Watkins Glen. And Ramsell now looking to the inside. Is he far enough alongside? No, Duffin breaks later and turns in. And Robert Ramsell though, still right there. Jamal Clouden and Cummings are both into pit lane. And Robert Ramsell though, once again to the inside of the circuit, possibly looking for some water and get a little bit of an eye in for the next corner to try and send it on Duffin, but Carlos has extended the gap to Tordock. Tordock just seems to be sliding a lot more than Carlos is, and both of these two continue winning on through. Duffin, meanwhile, still holding off Ramsell. This should be interesting to see what these two do now. It's waiting to see which one blinks, and Duffin blinks. And Duffin now comes into pit lane first and tries to get it slowed down. Hibbs does get it slowed down. Will Duffin be close to the pit limiter? That is the question now. Snai has come out ahead of Clouden, I think by quite a bit as well. Yeah, he has. So Clouden obviously repairing the damage that he has. We are now halfway through this race. Damp conditions here to stay. And I don't really see the conditions really changing too much. So it's a 50-50 split between Carlos and Sil for this one. Tordok 20%. So majority reckon that he's not going to get the job done. Archer and Fernie's into the pit. Fernie's got big damage to the front of his car, and Archer now moves another position up. Ramsell now is in a good opportunity here to get the jump on Duffin. He's got the clean air, and I think also Duffin has been quite tight to the pit lane line there, so it's going to be difficult for him to nail that one. And now Ramsell still looking for the water there, still trying to cool off those tyres, try and find as much grip as he possibly can. As he goes a little bit wide through there. Meanwhile, Wright is onto the back of Millington. So as we look from one Cam Racing driver, we look to the other that's having to defend from the Alpine of Wright. We're on board with him now. Duffin has gone green, but he's not done his stop. I missed that, but Duffin has not done the fuel. So Duffin, after a good possible points here, Hibbs is going to get him, as will Clouden, Snye, and possibly Goudet as well. So Duffin will have to pit again and put the fuel in the car. Ramsell herits now that 4th place position. 663, that is Johnson. Stop and go, 30-second time penalty as well for him. But Duffin, all you had to put was 1 litre of fuel in, and he's failed to do that. And now he's going to pay the price. Now, 30 minutes time and we'll lose the rain, so we will manage to get past the weather. Reminder guys, 24 hours of the Nordschleife coming up to you very, very soon. The 3rd of May, get yourself team signed up and ready to go for that one. It's going to be a long, long race. So Duffin now pierced through, goes Hibbs. Through will go Snye. Through will go Clouden, Goudet, Old Sim Racer. I think even Taylor will get him as well. Silth continues on through as Robert Ramsell comes back out in 4th place position, but he has got Hibbs hunting him down. And now you can see the 2 Porsches just struggling for grip. Yeah, a reminder as well for the Nordschleife coming up on the 3rd of May. We are challenging in the Nordschleife, we are challenging at the ring to raise as much money as we possibly can for cancer research. Carlos, get that slowed down, Mersh, as does Tordok. And where is Silth out of all this? He was 10 seconds off the back of these guys, and I think realistically he ain't going to catch him unless something bad happens. Ramsell has got a healthy lead over Hibbs at this stage, with Snye in that P6 position, Clouden, P7, Goudet, P8, Archer, P9, Duffin now comes out behind Old Sim Racer, behind Taylor, and feeds in 12th place position. So Old Sim Racer now up into 9th, a solid job from him once again. Taylor up into 10th place with Archer in 11th, Duffin in 12th. And Johnson comes in with Cummings now making a position, as will Fernie. Vesey will have to pit and make his stop now as Wright has got past him. Around the outside he goes. And Millington also now onto the back of Smith. Come on guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get as many subscriptions as we possibly can, as we now head into the right-hander. Vesey has made the pit window, so he will not get a penalty. But we are on board with Millington. And Carlos has extended the gap to Tordok. To go through turn number 1, Millington trying to stick with Smith as close as he possibly can. Everyone has made the pit window. Oh, Millington all over the grass. You do not want to be out there, mate. And there, into the wall he goes. Here comes his teammate, who's about to put a lap on him. And Middleton with major damage to the front end of his car. Still, again, not really made much time on the leaders. And I said right now that the gaps are all kind of evenly spread out. With 17 minutes left to go, let's have a quick run through. It is now greasy conditions. So it's drying. Dry tyres are possibly on the cards now. They are possibly the tyres to be on in a couple of minutes' time. So Carlos leads this race with the fastest outgoing away at Torok, and he's in second. Third was Silth. Ramsel now up into that P3 position. Middleton's off. Silth has got major damage to his car. He's understeering wide. Silth had brought himself back into this championship fight, and now he's going to drag himself back down. Through goes Hibbs. Through will go Snai. And Clouden will obviously gain a position out of this one as well. So Silth, all over the shot right now, has made a mistake and is going to drop down the order. So, where is Silth? There he is. Where is Clouden? He's only now coming through here. So will Silth try and hang in there for 60 minutes? I don't think he will. I think he will have to pit. With the flicker of the lights there from Silph's car, is he going to have to pit? I think he is. He can't even get the car turned in. He's struggling to get the front end to turn in. Silth is back in pit lane with that damage. So a lot more cars are going to gain from that one, and especially Clouden. So Silth dropping it has really opened the opportunity for the Greasy Bandits drivers to score more points. 6th and 4th, with Torok sat in P2 at the minute and a fastest lap to his name, are all going to help him out quite a bit. But Robert Ramsel, meanwhile, on the podium here and looking very good as long as he can keep it facing the right way. I thought there was going to be a little bit more calm and no chaos, but it turns out I was wrong, and Silth making that mistake. Remember, guys, coming up through the rest of the week, we are still staying here at Watkins Glen for Pro-Am and Pro. And Pro-Am is tomorrow night. Lexi will be bringing you all the action once again in the Pro-Am Championship. They'll be taking on this fantastic circuit just outside of New York. And also Thursday night, you will see the pro drivers take to this circuit as well, with Sweet and Sticky in your box, as Matthew Duffin and Kelly Davis will be bringing you all the action as well. What can the pros do around this circuit? That is the question. And a reminder as well, if you head into our description below, you'll see our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, and including SimPlay merchandise as well. Their Facebook link is there as well. And also, while you're at it, head over to Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk and have a look at our Facebook page, our Facebook group, our Instagram page, our Discord, and our X as well. Silth, meanwhile, has now come out of the pits and is onto the back of Cummings. This is your closest fight on circuit. So can still salvage anything out of this? This is the question. And in 10 minutes' time, it is going to be completely clear of wet weather from the sky. But Archer, meanwhile, a leading bronze driver, with Ramsel sat there in P3, leading silver driver. And obviously, your leading gold driver is Carlos at the moment. And that gap has come down. Silph now looking to the inside of the right-hander. Much more confidence on the brakes. Turns in. I got the grip. And Silph gains that position back. Meanwhile, here is your race leader. And he is being hunted by Torok. Not only have we got obviously the 24 hours of the Nordschleife, we will be putting on some fun events as well. So keep an eye on what's happening here at SimPlay Motorsport. We may look into doing some multi-class events again. The Audi event went down really well. Obviously this year Audi is celebrating, I think it's 25 years since their first win at Le Mans, and we celebrated that by running the GT2s, GT3s and GT4s at Paul Ricard to celebrate Audi's 25 years of winning at the Le Mans race, as Carlos there goes very wide and Tordok's trying to go with him. Also, we've done a V8 supercar event. We did we did the Camaros, which Archer is driving right now, and the Mustangs, GT3s and GT4s, up and down Bathurst, Mount Panorama, in respect of the V8 supercars that run in Australia. And I can't remember what the other event was now. I know there was another one, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, fantastic events that we had on, and I think there is more to come later this mid-season break, end of season break, heading into then the next season coming after. So plenty of stuff still to do here as Archer gets a lot closer to Old Sim Racer. So Old Sim Racer has made a mistake somewhere, and we come on board of him, and Archer gets the job done. So Archer takes the place as Old Sim Racer. Not sure why he gave up that so easy, and Archer moves up another position there, up into the top 9 now, as Tordok once again has caught up to the back of Carlos. And what doesn't help Carlos either is they've caught traffic as well. There is Stardog and Cummins, and Carlos has had a bad run through the final few corners here. Tordok right behind him. Stardog has got damage to his Mercedes-Benz, and Tordok needs as many points as he possibly can to keep himself in this championship fight. But Carlos wants another win to his name. He doesn't care about the championship. He wants to make sure that he takes every win that he can possibly get. And towards the inside they go. Oh, and there Carlos runs wide again, and I think Tordok has got the run. He's got the momentum. They're going to stay side by side. Carlos is going to have the inside for the next part of the corner. And away they go. They're going to go head down towards the bus stop chicane. They got an 18.4 second gap over Ramsell. It's not going to do anything daft. Cummings stays well out the way. Carlos tries to brake later, but can't do so. And Tordok now leads this race. And Carlos has to feed in behind, or has he? He's looking back up the inside. And Tordok has to give him the racing room. And Carlos, Tordok, they get close to one another. This is great racing from these two. But Tordok will have the inside for the next part of the corner. Can Carlos hold it strong on the outside? They rub doors. But Tordok gets the job. Oh, Carlos has a snap there and saves it, more importantly. So Carlos there losing the lead of this race to Tordok now. But you can see as well, ladies and gentlemen, you can see a dry line now starting to appear. Taylor's into the pits. Has Taylor thought, I'm going to put some slicks on? It's definitely slick conditions, I would say. Clouder, meanwhile, has no answer to Snai, who's just pulled well away from him. Hibbs sat in that P4 position, not being able to hunt down Ramsell either. So Ramsell in a solid P3 at this stage of this race. But the track is dry, essentially. Again, Duffin's got no one to race with at the minute. He's trying to chase down Old Sim Racer and Archer, but they're doing a fantastic job. There's Millington with damage to his car. But Wright is now attacking Fernie. He's going to go around the outside of him. Or gets out onto the curb. Fernie stays on the circuit, but Wright gets the job done. I am going to see if I can find another person's stream. And Matthew Duffin, actually, that is interesting. Okay, so some of these drivers may have opted to try something different here. I'll try a few other drivers as well. Yeah, I think some of these drivers have decided to go bold. Oh, okay, so after looking at a couple of different drivers at the minute, either one is in the right window. The wets are probably overheating a little bit, while the dries are not warming up enough. I really wouldn't know what to do at this stage. I would not know what to do at this stage. Carlos, meanwhile, has dropped right off the back of Tordok. He's ended up losing quite a bit of time to Ramsel, actually. So Ramsel's coming back at him. But meanwhile, Duffin is trying to hunt down old Sim Racer, but I don't think he's going to catch him in time. Meanwhile, Smith and Millington are going at it once again. Millington with damage to the front end of his car. Oh, and Smith touches the grass there. A slight mistake from him. Oh, and he's all over the shot. It's Smith, but he manages to keep it under control. I've only got 5.5 minutes left to go of this race. So it has been an action-packed night worth of racing, and this is what the wet conditions does. But Tordok, though, leading the way. Race 1 did not go his way. Race 2 is looking much, much better for him. As we come towards the end of this race, guys, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and we'll get driver of the day going. I've got a few in mind here. I think now, in these conditions as they are, slicks are the best tyre to be on. I think, in my opinion, that is probably the best tyre at the moment. So I'll just get driver of the day poll going. To get your votes in on who you think, as Tordok is pulled away from Carlos. Robert Ramsel is in a little bit of traffic. Hibbs all on his own. Sny's on his own, as is Clouden. Fernie is all over the grass. Archer on his old Sim Racer's dropped it. So Duffin has made that 9th place position back up. Will Sylph get him? No, he won't. Sylph is about to get lapped by Tordok as Cummings now goes through. He's ahead of Wright, ahead of Fernie. So Smith and Millington are the only closest fight on the track at this stage. Come on, guys, get your votes in on who you think driver of the day is. And it is stop raining altogether. If you're on a slick tyre, you are going to be over the moon with it, but also you do not want those pressures going too high. Because if the pressures are way too high, they are completely useless to you. Oh, Smith, no! Oh, Smith ended up in the wall after hunting Millington down for a while. He's ended up in the wall, touched the wet stuff, and in the wall he goes. Again, I think if you manage to figure out everything perfectly, the strategy as well, and noted about pressures, temperatures, then you would have been able to nail this. But slicks are the tyre, I think, to be on now. But this man who's leading out in front has managed to basically pick his way off and make sure that he was in the prime opportunity to score as many points he possibly can in this second race. Again, I'm just looking through other people's streams just to see what state of tyres others are in. If you're on the wets, they're probably dead now. And you're possibly into tyre puncture situations. Looking through the orders at the minute, and a lot of the guys just struggling towards the end of this race. And you can see there Sylph is just ahead of Tordok, who's going to be a lap down at this rate. Who's Sylph racing? Old Sim Racer, who's just up the road. So it's going to be tight. Guys are lapping 2 minutes, so I think this possibly might be the last lap for Tordok. Carlos, no answer for Tordok. Ramsel has lost gained a bit of time on Hibbs. Hibbs not be able to go in. Snai again. Just, there's nothing happening at this moment. Everyone is relatively spread out. And again, we've got Smith and Millington close to one another. Millington crosses the line. He wants to hold on to that 15th place position. Through the S's, there you go. Where is Tordok? He's at the far end of the circuit. He's got a healthy enough gap to Carlos that he could probably maybe lift it to the line. Nonetheless, guys, this has been a fantastic event. The rain has helped massively here. Get your votes in on Driver of the Day, guys. Currently 1 apiece for Ramsel, Carlos and Snai. But Tordok enters the final few corners here. It's going to be tight. 20 seconds. We're going to do one more lap here. One more lap of Watkins Glen. And mistakes can still happen yet. Which they've had. Millington has lost out to Smith. Damage to the front end of his car. And Millington has dropped behind the purple Aston Martin. And once again, guys, like I say, it's now 4 apiece for Driver of the Day. Ramsel, Hibbs, Carlos and Stein. All those guys willingly deserving of this one. Tordok, though, in the pound seat for the gold drivers. And going to take race win and fastest lap. Sadly, did not get the pole position. That went the way of Carlos. Ramsel is going to get himself on the podium. And he's also the leading silver driver as well. So he'll be happy to know that he was the quickest silver driver of this race. And then we got Archer, who's driven brilliantly, to be fair. 8th place at the minute, leading bronze, and beating a couple of the pro drivers as well. As Old Sim Racer has lost out to Sylph, as Sylph has worked his way through. But Tordok, if he wants to challenge O'Reilly going into Donington Park, this is what he needed. And I think that going into the final round, O'Reilly will still have the advantage. It's going to go down to the wire, though. We are going to go down to Donington Park to determine a champion in GT4s. And I think the same will be for the team's championships as well. But Tordok now into the penultimate corner, into the final corner. He now will lead tonight in New York, winning at Watkins Glen. Tordok takes the win in the feature race. Great job from him. Carlos in the end, it's going to take a solid P2. And that, with a win and second place, he'll be very happy with that one indeed. Ramsel gets himself onto the podium here. Robert Ramsel comes home to finish in P3 and the leading silver driver. Congratulations to him. Hibbs coming home for another solid points position in the 4th place position, ahead of Snai in 5th. Jamal Clouden once again scoring points for Greasy Bandits, more importantly. He takes that 6th place position and points for the team. John, meanwhile, is still ahead of Archer, and I think he's just going to hang on. I know for a fact that John is one of the drivers who's still on the wet tyres. And if he's got a puncher, I wouldn't be surprised, because they are, yeah, they're at 40 PSI. Those tyres are done. Completely done. He's barely on the throttle. Where is Archer? There he is. I think he's not quite going to get him. But here comes Goudet. It's going to hang in there for P7 in the end. Archer for P8. And then Duffin coming ahead of the group of cars behind him. He's going to finish in that 9th place position. Silver P10, Old Sim Racer P11, Cummings P12, Wright 13th, Smith 14th, Millington 15th, Wheel 16th, Vesti 17th, 18th, Fernie, Stardog 19th, Taylor 20th, Tipping 21st, and Marston in the end 23rd. McGowan disconnected, Freeman contact and left the session, and Aberdeen didn't make the start. But Tordok wins that one and will bring that championship to a much closer position. The rain has gone. It has been a dramatic night's worth of racing here. It has been awesome to watch. And now we look to Donington Park for the next race and the final race of the season. And what an end to the season. We're going to have driver of the day. Please, guys, get your votes in on that one. Still 4 apiece at the minute. So we've tested, yeah, there's still 4 apiece at this moment. So, guys, get your votes in on driver of the day. Now, I was going to attempt to do the comms, but I don't think it's going to work. It never seems to work for me. So, something I'm going to have to probably save for next season. But nonetheless, a great night's worth of racing. I do believe Clouden did get a podium, so if Clouden does want to come into the comms box, he's more than welcome to. And that is that. GG to Clubble in the chat. And once again, it's still 4 apiece at the minute. Actually, someone's put a vote in for Ramsel. I think that will be that. I am just currently waiting for the points to be updated. I believe Matthew is on it as we speak. Glenn's race 2. Yeah, I believe Matthew is working on that one. But nonetheless, we've got some exciting racing coming up ahead of this week. Obviously, tomorrow night, it is going to be Lexi bringing you all the action for the Pro-Ams. And let's see how they take on Watkins Glen. And then also, the Thursday night, we have the Pros as well. They'll be taking to the circuit and see what they can do around Watkins Glen themselves. GT4s, though, will continue going to Donington Park. A championship will be crowned there. But who is it going to be? O'Reilly, Silf, Tardock, and Clouden were all still mathematically in it. And now it is not long left until we wait for another new season to come our way. And I believe the championship standings have been updated. Yes, they have. There is now 4 going for the title as we head to Donington Park for the final round of the season. O'Reilly still leads 64 points ahead of Tordock. 72 behind is Silth, while Clouden is still mathematically in it, but if he gets outscored by O'Reilly by 28 points, he is out of it. Freeman now P5. P6 going the way of Carlos Hibbs, P7, Duffin, P8, 9th is Hooper, 10th is McGowan. Ramsdell now up into 11th with Wright in 12th. 13th is Taylor, well 14th is Millington, 15th Stardog, 16th is Fernie, 17th Old Sim Racer, Skunky, 18th, 19th Leach, 20th is Tipping, 21st Smith, Clubble, 22nd, 23rd Aberdeen with O'Brien, 24th Vesey, 25th, 26th is Johnson, Goudet, 27th, 28th Snye, 29th Archer, Cummings 30th, 31st is Will Unsworth, 32nd, Marston 33rd, Rook in 34th, Zdanov 35th, Marshall 37th, Jackal 39th, and Betterson in 40th, with Starrock bringing up the rear in 41st. But what is looking more exciting is the championship for the teams. Greasy Bandits have brought the gap down to 22 points. MSA versus Greasy Bandits at Donington Park. Who's going to come out on top? That is the question. 22 points separate them. Who put better turn up for that one? As Torok will be fighting one-handed in that one. Old School Racers are in third, ahead of Unknowns Racing, who are only 2 points behind them. Then it is SimPlay Racing ahead of Cam Racing, Quantum Motorsport ahead of Team Tom, Blunt Force Racing, Piston Pounders, Piston Pumpers, Road Runner Motorsport, Star Wolf Racing, Old Git Racing, Audio Sport, Lexi's Industries, and RBGT Team. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That has been Watkins Glen, and we shall see you all tomorrow night as Lexi will bring you all the action for Watkins Glen for the Pro-Ams. But for myself and the rest of the guys here, it is a good night